Station 6 Air Quebec, I got it now for ready.
Yeah, ready, copy.
Station 6 Air Quebec, cleared to the Long Beach Airport via direct Kyler intersection, which is Kilo, Yankee, Lima, Echo, Romeo. Direct to Garden City, Golf, Charlie, Kilo, send as files. Maintain 5,000, expect flight level 400, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 5714.
Ground Sky was 225 X-rays, clear 1 left on Bravo, gate is number 3.
Sky was 225 X-ray, what's the ground? Appreciate that. Left on Delta, right on Charlie, cross runway 32.
Alright, Delta Charlie, cross 32, Sky was 225 X-ray.
Thank you. That Kirby's twin diamond?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Make sure we don't touch wings.
Oh, yes. Conquest 2.
Exactly. Alright, this is Alpha. We're going to make a right turn here.
All right, we're taxiing out of Yingling Aviation here at Wichita, Kansas. I'm with Nick from Long Beach, and Nick just completed his ATP and his Citation 510 type rating here in Wichita. So we're going to take off and tell you all about his experience in getting a single pilot type rating in the Citation Mustang.
Clear final?
Final's clear.
Upwind's clear.
Citation 6 years left turn, Mustang 320, 1 by 1 right clear for takeoff.
1 right clear for takeoff. And left turn. 2026. Alright, we're spooling up.
Sierra 3 Alpha November, contact departure.
Full throttle. 2 takeoffs. Everything's in the green.
Cessna Citation, clear Charlie, runway 1 right, clear to land.
Airspeed's alive. Here comes 70 knots. 70 knots. Cross checked. Looks good. B1. Rotate. Pause brake, gear comes up. B2 plus 10, flaps up. 10. Nodding number, filch. 170. Heading. And ready to turn. Buttons coming up.
Citation 6 Alpha Quebec. Correct, Citation 6 here, Quebec, contact departure. Thank you, too.
Okay, we're climbing off of Wichita. This is a Citation Mustang. I think this one's a 2008. Or 2007. 2007. You guys have had it for a few months. And between the schedules and the airplane and Kirby, the examiner schedule, we just finished the type rating with Nick. And Nick has, why don't you give a little background on your flying, when you started, and how much time you got and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I started way back in like 2017, and was a senior in high school trying to figure out where I wanted to go in life, and you know, I took a couple flying lessons and kind of saw the opportunity to, you know, travel around and get paid to kind of do what you wanted to do. So I ended up going to college and flying through college a little bit, and then when I finished school I kind of dove in full time and got my licenses, got my CFI, CFII, worked at a flight school for a little bit, then went and got my MEI and taught multi-engine flying for a little bit, and then kind of got lined up with a couple of Part 91 jobs doing flying a 206, and then Diamond DA62, and then finally a Cirrus, and kind of still doing a lot of flight instructing. And you know, I've got like probably 1,700 hours and 1,000 hours of dual given, and But the guys with the Cirrus, they ended up, you know, kind of transitioning to something bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a pretty good amount of time, like you said, 1,700 hours, some good multi-engine time, multi-engine flight instruction. So pretty good experience level to graduate into the Mustang. And we did the type rating in the airplane, and so we did I mean, we flew together a couple times, but we basically did 2 days of training, right?
Yeah.
2 days, maybe 3 or 4 flights. I don't remember exactly. And you're pretty well prepared. You know, you hit the books pretty hard, and the flying is, you know, it's pretty straightforward.
Right.
And I've said this many times on the videos, but I'll say it again. 4 approaches, 2 precision, 2 non-precision. Steep turns, stalls, unusual attitudes, single engine approach, V1 cut, circling approach, hand flown approach, and then an abnormal or 2. So it's not unlike most check rides, right?
No.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean,
setup.
I think everything was, you know, stuff that, you know, obviously we had done before, and, you know, through other check rides, you know, you shoot the instrument approaches on the instrument ride, and, you know, steep turns and stalls you do on your private commercial rides and stuff too. So, you know, it really isn't a lot of things that you wouldn't have done before.
Right.
You know, a V1 cut similar to a engine failure in the upwind and the multi-engine.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's, you know, for most people, it's first jet type rating, so that's a little bit of a difference. You know, the performance and speeds, and a little more engaged in performance. And I felt like when I did it procedurally, I always try to fly pretty tight procedurally, but I think that getting a type rating is kind of another level. It's at least my perspective. What about, like, what you expected versus what you experienced? Was it pretty much what you thought, or was it a lot different?
It wasn't too much different than what I expected, but, you know, I actually, you know, especially with the Mustang, it's so stable, and, you know, you get it trimmed out nice, and it's just going to sit there and hold it.
Yeah.
So, I know, I mean, I can't speak for other airplanes, but especially with this one, it was, I felt it was a pretty easy transition, you know.
Yeah.
Coming from, you know, the DA62, it's basically got the exact same panel as well as the, you know, SR22 as well.
Yeah.
So.
And having the DA62, the FADEC engines, and kind of the way you operate that airplane is very similar to this. And in other videos I've said that's if you want to end up in a light jet, and you know you do, a modern light jet, that's a very good precursor, because, you know, it's got the same performance, basically, maybe a little better as a Cirrus, as an SR22, but you're getting the multi-engine time.
Yeah.
And you're not fooling around with props and mixtures. It's FADEC like the Mustang, so it's a really good, easy transition, at least from my perspective, to get from a DA62 or a DA42 into a single pilot jet. And then so the check ride was pretty much what you expected. The oral, you know, you got limitations, systems, performance, memory items. You knew that. That's like, you just got to study it.
Right.
You know, you got to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything, is if you're going to be flying around by yourself in one of these things, you probably should be familiar with how everything operates.
Yeah. You know, I'm a proponent of flight safety. There's pros and cons to getting a type rating in flight safety or SimCom, and there's pros and cons to doing it in the airplane.
Definitely.
So when I look, and I've done.
I direct Toby, Tango Bravo Echo 26 here, Quebec. Alright, direct Toby, Absent.
I've done them both. in the airplane and at flight safety. And I think one of the real benefits of doing it in the airplane is you really, it's a very boiled down course, and like at flight safety, and they get into a lot of details about the systems, and it's an opinion. Like I said, I'm an advocate for flight safety. It's, you know, a gold standard of simulator training, but you get so much information, and once it's over, it's like you lose it all.
Right.
You know, it's like gone, and it's hard to retain because it's crammed in so much. And I think it's better personally to hit, you know, the highlights of the systems. You know, you got to memorize the memory items and all that stuff too. But you know, to just get the systems down to where you understand it, and then continue to develop an understanding for the systems and
right,
and how things work and all that over time. And then, so we lost the camera there for a second, but I think what I was generally saying is, I think one advantage to doing it in the airplane is it's a more condensed program. We hit the high points of the systems, good understanding, good foundation, combined with, you know, training in the airplane, and I think you retain. I don't think you come out and you're like, you know, wow.
Right.
Climb maintain flight level 370.
Climb maintain flight level 370, 260 Quebec. And of course, when you do it in the simulator, you have to get, if it's your first type rating, you have to get 25 hours of mentor time, which that's not a bad idea anyway. But for you, you've flown it quite a bit,
right,
before the type rating, so it's not like it's your first jet time. Now you're ready to go off and, you know, fly around, and you'll get, you know, you're gonna get 4 more hours today and probably a few more here and there before you start flying it alone.
Definitely.
So, so also, we talked about it a little bit before, and I think it's interesting for people who are contemplating, you know, moving up into airplanes like this, either for a professional like what you're going to be doing, or to own it.
Yeah.
Because the standard is the same, right?
Right.
You know, getting breaks just because you're not a pro pilot. And so we did this training. You got the type rating. You got exposed to, you know, different kind of training, different kind of flying. We talked about this a little bit, but how it's going to impact the rest of your flying. Like, you're still going to be flying an SR-22, and you got, you know, other airplanes you're flying. So how the training and the exposure to this class of an airplane is going to impact the flying you do with the other airplanes you fly.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that it's, you know, this kind of, you know, I was operating, holding a standard for myself on how I operated, but then now, you know, having the type rating and now the ATP certificate, you know, it's kind of up the standard for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, now realistically, I'm like, okay, now I'm legitimate pro pilot.
Yeah.
So, you know, you know, I need to hold myself and my procedures and everything and my knowledge to a, you know, a much higher standard, which, you know, now is the new level, basically.
Yeah. And the type rating, the check ride requires that.
Exactly.
So if it requires that, then the training has to require that, and so you get some good exposure to that kind of flying, higher standards, proper procedures. You know, it's like a lot of things. There's a proper way to fly this airplane, and that ATP, whether you're doing an ATP or not, the type rating is to that standard. So you have to really, you know, elevate the kind of flying. And everybody I talk to says, you know, it just really changes the way I fly. Everything.
I mean, it just changes your whole approach.
Yeah.
Right. You know, just from walking out to the airplane to closing that door. It's your whole, at least my whole mindset is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not completely different, but it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
My outlook.
I think that's true. And it's not to say you can't hold yourself to that standard flying around on a 172 or any airplane for that matter, but you get exposed to the requirement to do it at this level, and I think that, you know, that changes the game quite a bit.
Definitely.
And that's a good thing, because I think I know it changed the way I fly, and it doesn't matter what airplane I'm flying. I have that standard, and I have to. I feel like I've made a habit to take that into all the airplanes I fly.
Definitely.
So that's a really good thing, and I think it'd be a great thing. For a lot of pilots to get a type, it's expensive. Let's not forget that. But if you could get a type rating, that would be an advancement in the way you fly and exposure to that kind of flying. I think it would help everybody, and not everybody gets to get that chance. All right, so we're passing 33. We're gonna check out until we get on the. We don't know if we have the fuel because of the winds to go all the way to Long Beach.
Yeah.
So we may have a stop in Havasu for fuel.
Definitely.
But when we're on the way down, we're going to get back on here, and I downloaded, Garmin just came out with SmartCharts.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the Garmin app, started a free trial, watched a couple videos on this, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to pull it out, and I think we'll have an arrival, and we'll play with Garmin charts a little bit, or SmartCharts. And I'm going to be a novice on this Garmin app because I haven't used it in a long time. We'll see how that goes and try to give a little review of how the SmartCharts work. All right, we'll be back. Tell you, that charger and that
are killer upgrades in this thing.
This is one of those Ospreys, I think, coming in.
Yeah.
We didn't have the fuel to make Long Beach nonstop from Wichita because we had, I'd say, average 60.
Yeah, about 60 knots.
60 on the nose. So we stopped at Lake Havasu, got some fuel. Now we're doing a quick hop from Havasu to Long Beach via Palm Springs and the
KO8.
KO8. And I've been using, you too, like you've never used anything but ForeFlight, right?
Yeah, no.
And I've been using ForeFlight, honestly, I think since it came out. I tried Garmin Pilot maybe, I don't know, shortly after it came out.
Right.
And just didn't seem like it was up to speed with anywhere close really at that point to ForeFlight. But a friend of mine sent me the SmartCharts that Garmin just came out with. And I haven't looked at Garmin Pilot in a long time, so I decided I'm going to get the free 30-day trial. And I've got it, and I've got SmartCharts here. And we're going to take a peek at them and just see how
it works. Trying to do this arrival.
And I got to say, we played with it a little bit on the way up here, or the first leg, and it's not too bad. I mean, it's come a long way.
Definitely.
I can't say I know enough about it to know if I like it or not.
Right.
The one thing this is probably because I don't know how to use it. I don't like having to use flightplan.com.
Right.
Some type of integration with that. That seems like an extra step. That's kind of a...
Right, because in ForeFlight you can just,
file
it right there.
Yeah, it's easy. I will say this SmartChart thing is pretty cool.
Nice.
I feel like they came out with like the next generation chart.
Right.
And we were also talking, I remember when I got my first Jeppesen subscription back, 1990, probably 1997 or something.
Yeah.
And the charts are largely unchanged. I mean, it's basically the same chart. Those are paper.
Right. But the information.
The information is basically the same. And of course we didn't have digital charts back then. Now they're all digital, but again, it's the same information basically in the same format.
Right.
And these Garmin, the SmartCharts, I'm slow at navigating, but so we go to charts, and we look at this KO8 arrival.
26 here, Quebec Residence, go to the Long Beach Airport, be direct Palm Springs and the KO8, maintain level 230.
Palm Springs, the KO8, 230, 260 Quebec.
We're going to Palm Springs to initiate the KO8, and I got it on my iPad here on this Garmin SmartChart.
Right.
So up in the left corner you can see it's a different format, and I would say, based on what I see, it's more interactive using the chart on the
Garmin
device,
app.
on the app. And you can, you can touch. And this video may seem a little chopped up, it's because we're getting a lot of communication from ATC. But what we're saying is that, not knowing much about this, it just looks like the charts are being optimized to be interactive on the device, which I presume that's what Garmin's goal is here, and it looks like they did a good job of it. So, when you select that like this arrival as the KO8, and you've got the transitions you can select, and then it gives you, so if I did KO, it's going to give you a different picture of the arrival, which is nice,
Totally.
Versus the chart, it's everything is on there, and you just have to look and see where you're going that way.
Definitely.
But it's not a major issue, but this is definitely another degree of advancement in using technology. And then it has the runway dynamically we can load. That's nice. And then if you want to read the details, it puts it on the side here. KO8, radar, Long Beach ATIS, SoCal approach, transition, and then from the Palm Springs transition. I wonder if you can draw on this stuff. I don't think you can, like on ForeFlight, I could use my pencil and draw, but I can't do that here. I don't see. Now, maybe it's because I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe I can here. Tools, alerts, zoom, chart, split, navigation, tools, theme, lock screen, alert, stopwatch, timer. No, it doesn't look like I can activate the pencil. So the routes via the Palm Springs transition and over KO, amendment, expiration date. So that's pretty cool, and then you can take it away when you're done.
Right.
So it's pretty, I have to say, this is nice. It's really nice, because it's a more, I think, user-friendly, because let's face it, we're all using the iPads for charts.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anybody. Now, one thing that, it's kind of getting off the topic here, but it'll be interesting to see what Garmin does with, if they put it onto this now, on the G1000.
They were to be able to integrate it.
Because when you use the chart on the Garmin 1000, it is a little cumbersome, and I find most people want to,
Up to 280, 260, Quebec.
most people want to use the iPad to supplement the charts on the G1000.
Right.
This may, if they do put it on the G1000, the SmartCharts, this may minimize that a little bit, where you can be more into, use it on the screen more.
Because I know if you just have it on the chart screen and you're just sitting here looking at the geo-reference, then you potentially, some of them, you might be past a waypoint or before it. It's not like an exact science.
No, it's
just
not.
From looking at the geo-reference.
And we're going to look at it on this once we get on it. Well, here you can see there we are out there coming in. Now, what is interesting to me is the court, because I have this loaded. So let's go back to the map. This is my lack of navigation skills on this, but there is the active line.
Right.
But that doesn't give you, it doesn't transpose onto the chart.
Right.
Now that may be a setting. So I've never used this before. So I look at that arrival again.
One arrival, and just normal speed and published speed.
Okay, descend via the Hollywood 1 normal speed, and
so it'd be nice to me if you could superimpose the line that you're on onto the chart.
Get that like magenta direct to that waypoint line.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I think it's nice. And then you can also look at the approaches. So we'll probably be on the ILS 30.
Right.
So there's the approach. You have the same thing. We want the minimums to be not circling.
I think it's 260 on the minimums.
See, yeah, so there's the ILS min we're going to use. All right, then we go transition. Let's just say we're going to do mids.
All right, 275 for 280.
And runway orientation's nice. I mean, it's
Totally.
And then the profile view, you can turn it on or off.
Right.
By clicking that button.
I mean, it's a lot more interactive.
Yeah. NOTAMs. Yeah, NOTAMs. That's easy to access on that screen. And you got comms up here on this top row. Your brief. ILS Long Beach 110.3 final approach course. Gunny is the final approach fix. Glide slope intercept. Minimums. Lighting. And landing distance available. That's nice.
Definitely.
That's really nice. I like that. And then the missed approach, you can, get it pretty easy.
Totally.
Missed approach procedure there. So that's a definite improvement. Just being able to click through those, and
right,
in my opinion, at least.
Vertical.
So we'll see how how we and apparently you're going to be able to see the airplane on the profile view, geo-referenced on the profile. We talked about that. I don't know how useful that is. Kind of cool.
Right.
But I don't know how useful it is. And then the other thing I liked was the airport diagram.
Oh, it's a lot more intuitive.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's, to me, it's clear, and it's got it's got
indicated 270.
and then NOTAMs.
Right.
Details. There's all your info.
Oh wow.
Easy to access. Runway departure. What is runway / departure? So let's look at 30. So this is specifics on the runway. Obstacle departure procedure.
Right.
Wow, lots of information. And then alternate mins. Wow, that's nice. It's got a lot of diagram. Comms, all the frequencies.
Definitely.
Over 260 Quebec, descend and maintain level 240.
Yeah.
Descend and maintain level 240, 260 Quebec.
American 1502.
I'm going to explore the Garmin app more. It's based on what I see.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. They've come a long way.
Right.
And maybe this whole flight plan thing is, once you get it set up and dialed in,
right,
then it's not an issue. I don't know. I haven't used flightplan.com in a long time. I did use it.
127.52.
752, thank you for
The basic map here.
Delta Hotel, LA Center 127.52. Good day.
Nothing magical here.
Delta Hotel 127.52. Good day.
Okay, we're coming below 10, so we're gonna turn this video off so Nick can focus on the rest of this flight. No surprises on the type rating.
No,
pretty straightforward.
Straightforward.
Feel like you're well prepared now to fly this airplane. Single pilot.
Definitely.
You know the systems. You know the required limitations. And emergency procedures. Now you haven't been to an intense simulator class, so you don't know what to compare it with. But I feel like if you did go, you wouldn't feel like you've been shortchanged.
Right.
We talked about it. There's pros and cons to both. And Mustangs are great airplanes. You can attest to that now that you've been flying it. You got
super forgiving.
Getting close to 100 hours in it. Very forgiving, great airplanes. I've done many videos on them.
Maintain 900,000, 260 Quebec.
And Garmin charts, Garmin SmartCharts.
Right.
I'm
kind of cool.
My 30-day trial started today, and I'm going to give it a shot. I really like what I see, and I got to get through all the don't know how to do this, don't know how to do that, but it's a pretty slick setup, and it's nice to see the innovation, hitting the you know, hitting the charts.
Definitely.
The next generation, which I think is pretty good. So, we're gonna wrap this video up. If you have any questions about Mustang, you can call Nick.
Yeah.
Down to 8, descend, maintain 8,000, 26 here, Quebec.
Give me a call, email, leave a comment, let me know what you think about Garmin charts. Thanks for watching.